Here's the problem with New Year's resolutions. They're called New Year's resolutions. How about we call them course corrections instead? So there's lots of different authors who talk about the analogy of flying and how that relates to goal setting. So Michael Hyatt has mentioned this before, Benjamin Hardy, I think Marie Forleo has mentioned this before. I'm not going to bring her up in my content anymore because I was really disappointed to find out recently that she's going to be speaking at an MLM event if she hasn't done it already, which is such a shame. The reason it's disappointing is because a lot of her old advice, she does have a lot of business experience, is really strong. And one thing that she mentioned in the past that these other authors have also dwelled on is this idea that a plane is actually flying off course for most of its journey, and it's tiny course corrections that the pilots make that allow the plane to get to its destination, and that actually also some of the fatal crashes in history are just because of the tiniest of course corrections weren't made. And I think there's no reason that you shouldn't also be able to course correct with your finances at any time during the year, so don't worry about whether it's January or not. Here's a list of financial New Year's resolutions that you can choose or adapt to suit your financial situation and lifestyle. Now, this list came from my second finance blog that I bought in 2021. So as per usual, to reflect that these ideas were written up by my predecessor, and because I only do vocal impersonations in private, I'm borrowing some wizardry pokery to bring these words to life. Let's find out what my mate Edith has got for us today. And yes, that is a movie reference. Let me know afterwards if you work out which movie I'm referring to.
Financial resolution ideas for any time of year. Make money. Download money-making apps and use them in your spare time when watching TV, on public transport, or waiting around, etc. Get a second job, pick up overtime, or find a new money-making hobby such as freelance writing, commission drawing, babysitting, or dog walking. Declutter your home and sell your unwanted things. If you're an arts and crafts type of person, why not start a small business selling on Etsy? Save money. Plan no-spend days in your diary. Collect freebies where you can. Have more cupboard clearouts and leftover picnics. Use the food you already have in the cupboards, fridge, and freezer to make meals and meal plan. Download money-saving apps and actually use them. Buy nothing at full price, unless it's never discounted. Implement a more minimalist mindset and don't buy new things if you don't need them. Look in a charity shop first or buy secondhand online. Eat at home more instead of going to restaurants. Buy more yellow sticker groceries. Challenge yourself to make Christmas/roast dinner for 5 people for under £5 including drinks. Do free things with your friends instead of spending money on socializing. Look up 25 ways to save money quickly. Budget. Create a monthly budget, meal plan, and create weekly/bi-weekly/monthly food budgets.
One thing I am thinking of doing with this blog that I've bought, and also the blog that I started first, Save Like a Bear, is stripping out the word budget altogether. So there's a money coach and financial planner named Catherine Morgan, who has a really good podcast called In Her Financial Shoes. And I don't think it was on her podcast. I think it was actually on her Instagram that I first came across this, where she was saying, you know, we should stop using the word budget because it's restricted and it kind of keeps you in this scarcity mindset, and that she prefers to refer to it as a spending plan instead, because that makes you feel in control and enables you to take part in the economy. I'm embellishing her idea, by the way. All she said was we should call them spending plans instead of a budget. But because I've listened to so much of her stuff in the past, this is how I think it all fits together. That by calling it a spending plan, you would feel in control of your money while also moving away from a scarcity mindset. So you wouldn't be afraid to spend. Because if you have been a spender, an impulse buyer, if you've been in debt in the past, it can be really difficult in future to kind of move away from the idea that the only way to save money is to deprive yourself, or that the only way to save money is to hoard it so that it doesn't run out because you can't make more of it, when actually it's more helpful to move towards the idea that there are always ways to make more money and that you could make more of it. And that doesn't have to be something where you're like running to catch up with yourself all the time. So it's not that you should be racing to make money to keep up with your spending, because then you would be out of control. If you want me to do anything on the money making suggestions like freelance writing, dog walking, I could always do some research into those. I haven't done any freelance writing for a very long time, but I definitely know a lot of freelance writers, so I could could do an installment on that if you're interested. I definitely did more than one installment recently on secondhand selling if you want to declutter and sell your unwanted things, so I'll leave links to those. And I also did more than one installment about the suggestion to start a side business on Etsy as well, because I don't think that Etsy should be everyone's number one option for that, or that you should at least know that there are other ways to start a side income by selling arts and crafts or printables. I've said it before and I'll say it again on the point about collecting as many freebies as possible. Again, you want to be careful of the word free and having a scarcity mindset where you expect everything for free. And I would also ask yourself, like, how much time are you putting into trying to get things for free, and are they really worth it? Because sometimes that time could be better spent actually making money. I thought it was funny that this blog post said, download some money saving apps and actually use them, because the latter, I think, is the part that we really struggle with, right? And this is why New Year's resolutions in January fall apart. It's because the actual doing of something, even if you are on board with the idea, the actual doing of something and integrating it into your life is sometimes where stuff just falls by the wayside. This is exactly why I think we need to move away from this idea, though, that January is the only time of year that you can start something new or add something into your life that's going to add value. And it is just a case of giving something a proper go and making it a habit. And so if you don't have these like arbitrary rules for yourself of like, oh, well, I'll wait till the new year, or well, I'm going to do like a full overhaul and change a load of stuff at the same time, that can actually be more difficult than making these small course corrections. So if you could pick one small thing today that's going to make a difference, that's all the course correction that you need, but in a year's time you'll have reached your destination. Probably am going to try and recreate the roast dinner for under £5, so subscribe if you want to find out how that goes. I did cover the free things to do with your friends in a previous installment, so I'll also leave links to that. And I also did a full installment on 25 ways to save money quickly. As for my own course corrections, I journal every day, so I might do a whole series on those. I guess one of my course corrections is going to be, how am I going to talk about budgeting going forward without using the word budget? I probably won't call them spending plans, because that's Catherine's language for that, and we've talked about how she came up with that, and so that's not something that I'm going to start peppering through all of my content and pretend that that was my idea, because it wasn't, it was hers. I have written in the past about Raspberry Money. Raspberry Money is just kind of like a polite way of saying that you have an FU fund, and I have always referred to spending priorities, so perhaps it is just a case of, instead of using that restrictive word budget, I'll just talk about spending priorities more, and whether you're adding to your Raspberry Money fund. Oh, and if you're wondering why it's called Raspberry Money and why that's a polite version of an FU fund, because I didn't actually explain that, it's just the equivalent of blowing a raspberry at anyone and everyone whenever you need to walk away from something in life and you can afford to do that. If you found today useful, don't forget to test what the like and subscribe button do, and you'll want to catch the rest of the series next.
You're good? Good. How are you good? You turning me down?
The best way to get updates otherwise from Save Like a Bear is actually via my email newsletter, where I'll also send out a bonus guide on budgeting and mindset that you can use whether you've added a second income or not. Links to sign up to that are in the description.